Radio London.
4:41. Oh, we need to head right into this conversation for Ready Tech Go. There is just so much to discuss. I thoroughly enjoy this segment of the show. It's basically where we take a deep dive into the world of technology, social media, AI, and so much more. And to discuss this, I'm joined with our friend of BBC Radio London, resident, without a shadow of a doubt, who comes to our show, brings us the latest. And I always like for you to weigh in as well. He's our technology and social media expert, James Erskine. He's also the founder of youth marketing agency We Are Rocket. Great to have you back, James.
Hello, Shade. Yeah, really nice to be back. Thanks for having me.
It's a lot to delve into.
Yeah, there's loads.
Then again, when is it not? And I'm actually really chuffed that you're here because I've been really waiting to speak to you about this one show I think the world can get over, which is completely. Adolescence.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. The one refrain that I always have whenever I come in for Ready Tech Go is every story is a tech and a social media story.
Yeah.
With the show Adolescence, nothing could be truer because it's a great drama. It's incredibly well made, but the issues that Adolescence brings up for all of us, from a political standpoint, from a youth standpoint, from a generational standpoint, can't be overstated. I mean, you can look at this through the prism of a number of different things relating to tech and social media. Do we regret giving our children smartphones? Can a social media ban like the one in Australia work? What relationship should our children have with social media? Are there any positive role models for young boys and young people more generally in the online space?
And what's quite interesting, obviously, is there are all the stars of Adolescence are backing these calls to ban social media for under 16. There's been a lot of articles today in the papers, including The Independent, very much talking about this whole concept, this idea to follow suit from what took place in Australia.
Yes, that's right. So Australia voted in with bipartisan support. So everybody was in favour of it, for a social media ban for under 16s. The Australian Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, came out and said, we want to get our children back playing on sports fields, which, as a refrain, as a statement, is a really powerful thing to say. Now, the debate is what's going to be banned, because there's a social media aspect to almost everything. I mean, they're not banning YouTube, for example. They're not banning Roblox, for example. They're not banning WhatsApp. There are social elements to all of those things, but they are looking to ban Snapchat. They are looking to ban Facebook and Instagram. So it's really interesting. And then the second thing with the Australian social media ban is, how are they going to do it? Is the genie already out of the bottle? Are you relying on age verification? But you're quite right. There's two things here. There's the software and the digital presence.
Sure.
Should that be banned? And there's the hardware. So the other campaign that's really seen prominence is this campaign for a smartphone-free childhood.
I'm intrigued by this. We've had the great pleasure of having the organisation on the show many times. I mean, even the New York Times. So we're here in London. We're sat here in London, and even in New York, in America, they're looking at what we are doing in the UK. They've released this article saying the UK government wouldn't ban phones in schools. Well, these parents stepped up, and it all came about this campaign going viral from smartphone-free childhood. The world is taking notice as to what we're doing here in the UK.
Completely, but it's really interesting. So in last week's Prime Minister's Question Time, on the back of Adolescence, Kemi Badenoch actually asked a question and said, why won't the government support a smartphone ban? And the response from Sir Keir Starmer was, there's no point, schools are doing it anyway. But then when you bring it back to Adolescence and having seen the drama, that's not the case in all schools. I'm lucky. My little boy, who is a 13-year-old boy, so Adolescence hit me hard. I mean, it made me question everything.
Really?
And, completely. As a father, do I understand what he's doing online? Do I understand the culture well enough? I mean, I work in youth marketing, but I still worry. I mean, you can't track. You can't see what's going on. He is now of an age where he's allowed social media accounts, but I don't know what he's doing doing. I don't know the full extent. I try to encourage dialogue. There are some great organisations and charities out there. There's Media Smart, who help children understand the online space and online advertising. There's Internet Matters. Some brands are doing really good work to help parents have those conversations.
Okay.
But in Adolescence, the one thing that struck me in episode 2, it's not a spoiler, don't worry for those that haven't seen it, but the school, everybody's using their phones. And it's really that phones aren't banned in schools, in all schools.
Even the teachers.
Completely.
I should add.
Yeah, it's
Even
a really
coming
good point.
to the point that actually, a lot of education is now done digitally. You require some form of a tablet. You could even top up your homework via your smartphone.
Oh, you're
it's
so
so
right.
intertwined.
It's so intertwined, and it's so tough to retrospectively put a genie back in the bottle, to now stop this advance of technology. Because you're right, my daughter, who's 10, does her maths homework on an online portal. My son uses a laptop in a number of his lessons, and the School of Taught, of course, take great precautions in what programs can get on the laptops, but kids are always smarter than their parents. They're always going to find ways.
We were kids once. We know what it is like.
Completely.
Right? Your mum would say turn left, you would definitely turn in right. And the same goes about even in school. But that's part of puberty, is really pushing boundaries in all different directions.
And an understanding of incel culture, an understanding of red tablets, an understanding if these turns of phrase don't mean anything to your listeners, they're not alone. But it's important we're able to have conversations around these things. One of the other key themes from Adolescence was how the police officers didn't fully understand the culture that the young people were involved in. And being removed from that is very much part of an understanding of a generation that are younger than us.
And of course, earlier this week, Netflix did announce, didn't they, that they are going to make the show Adolescence available to all schools.
That's right.
Some are saying, though, because of course it's rated 15 and it's great, it's going to be available to all schools to show in the UK. But then part of it is whether or not the show could be shown earlier than age 15. You know, if most kids are in school at 12, 13, they've got smartphones, that's a couple of years before they get to see a show like this.
Completely. I mean, just to give you a flavour, my son had to do a drama assignment.
Okay.
And he based his drama assignment on a scene from Fight Club. And neither me nor my wife were aware that he'd ever seen the film Fight Club.
Stop. Okay.
So we're not putting the right checks and balances in place. We had a word with him retrospectively, but kids are consuming content that their parents don't know that they are, in all different sizes and shapes.
Yeah.
And it's really important that we're able to have those discussions.
Completely. It's quite something, though, isn't it? The way that the entertainment opens up that conversation.
Well, it's a really good point. Now, the key thing to remember about Adolescence is it's not based on a real case.
That's right.
It's a work of fiction. It's a drama.
Yes.
It's not true. The other thing to bear in mind is what is the point the programme makers were trying to make, because they brought a lot of issues to the table and they've not yet said the solutions. Now, the cast have come out and said, consider the social media ban, consider the smartphone ban, but that isn't,
enough?
It's the start of a conversation.
Just finally, and then we'll move to the next technology story, because I mentioned earlier in our introduction, James, you are a social media expert and a technology expert.
Yeah.
Within your circle, those people that you're speaking to regularly with the work that you do, whether they're tech experts or technology, etc., what's their take been around this whole conversation that Adolescence has opened up?
Well, it's fascinating. So my day job is working in marketing and talking to youth audiences and parent audiences. And there are a number of things that we think of from a brand perspective.
Sure.
One is that what appeals to parents might not appeal to youth audiences. audiences, appeal to youth audiences. So sometimes you have to have multiple messaging for the two different audiences, which is actually quite telling in terms of, as well as the brand messages they're getting, the news messages, the cultural messages, they also are separate. The other thing that we really pride ourselves on is doing things in a responsible way. So there are certain restrictions in terms of advertising to young people and across which channels. There's big new rules coming in for HFSS goods that we are aware of as advertisers. The Advertising Association has Media Smart to keep checks and balances in place and look at advertising in a responsible way. So doing things in a responsible way is something that we very much have to not only tick a box, but actually practice what we preach.
Let's move to the next story then, shall we, James? Cybercrime and the things to look out for. This is featured in an array of stories, but also one of the stories here around London Mayor axing cybercrime victim support line as well. Give us more details.
Yeah, it's kind of a London story, this. The London Mayor set up a cybercrime victim support line last year. He did a test, or they ran the test from the London Mayor's office, and it generated a number of complaints, a number of people saying they had been the victim of cybercrime. But this year they've announced that they are not going to continue with this line, this phone line. Now, that all said, the new online safety bill comes into effect any day now.
Right.
And what that is doing is that's giving more authority to fine people under the new cybercrime bill. So, cybercrime, the executive summary, is becoming a big problem in this country. And there are a number of steps that we as consumers should be aware of in order to fight cybercrime. In a previous Ready Tech Go, I spoke about Virgin Media O2, where they actually created an AI-generated granny to waste the time of fraudsters, scammers.
Yes.
Quite something, and a really good initiative to show how common this was. But I think all the key takeaway for people listening should be is to be vigilant, because again, I was a victim of a bank crime, a cyber fraud. Luckily, I dodged a bullet. I didn't give my password. I suddenly thought halfway through the phone call, hang on, this is a scam. And I put the phone down completely.
Honestly,
and I rang my bank. They confirmed they hadn't called me.
Okay.
It was a close run thing.
So number one thing I say to Dad, my father-in-law, if you think the bank's called you, just say, that's okay, I'll call you back.
Completely. Yes. Yeah, definitely.
Call them back.
Call them back.
The numbers on your credit card, on your debit card, at the back of your card, call that number.
And once your phone has been on a certain database for potential scammers, it will kick off. It will mean you will get other calls. Yeah. So, being vigilant is the key thing. And to see the rise in the numbers of cybercrime, both in the capital and in the country more broadly, is a really big thing.
And let's move to our final story. So we're talking, and after 5 p.m. we'll be discussing Donald Trump, obviously in the news, where Sir Keir Starmer has been warning there's no free trade without free speech. Donald Trump is obviously hitting back with the tariffs. What would give us context on this story? Well,
it's interesting, isn't it? I said every story is a social media and tech story, and the tariffs, it's a terrific day. It's Liberation Day, if you're to quote Trump, where he will be putting tariffs on a number of imported goods to America. One thing that the UK government are negotiating is how to avoid the tariffs being put on UK goods.
Okay.
One of the sticking points in that negotiation is the new online safety bill. Now, the online safety bill means that social media platforms are potentially liable for greater fines when they are producing irresponsible content, when they're not looking out for the sort of thing that people can consume on social media.
Right.
And the fines have got huge with the online safety bill. What we are wondering is whether this free speech prohibiting online safety bill, or something that actually makes social media more safe, is going to be a sticking point in the negotiations between the UK and US government. Now, you could be cynical, and believe me, Shay,
Yes.
I am.
Okay.
A lot of Trump, I mean, there's Elon Musk who has X, and this would change social media's networks' responsibilities in the UK. Finally, they are going to stop saying they're just a network of other people's opinions, and they're going to have to take a similar level of responsibility that other media organisations do and say they are publishers, such as the BBC, such as every newspaper, every website. They are publishers. And the online safety bill effectively means that social media networks become and have the same responsibilities as publishers.
It's quite something, isn't it, when we talk about online safety we started the conversation discussing adolescence. It's come around full circle, and yet the concerns that another government in another country, such as the US, can have impact on what, many families, many Brits, many Londoners want around safety for everyone online.
Completely. And this online safety bill, I mean, it's been in the making for a very long time.
It has, yes.
But we've seen issues around teen suicide. We've seen issues around artificial lifestyles, aspirational lifestyles that cannot be copied by children safely. I'm thinking healthy eating.
Sure.
We've seen online scams. This makes the social media companies responsible. But when you think about it, social media companies are bigger than this country. Social media companies, there used to be a stat that Facebook was the 6th biggest country in the world if you added up all their users.
Sure.
So they're bigger than this fair island, let alone this city. So it's really hard to regulate. But again, going back to adolescence, what are we saying is the outtake? Because if you are worried about smartphone use, if you are worried about social media consumption, the end argument is to regulate it. And that's what the online media bill is going to try to do.
Oh, it's always a pleasure having you here, James. You put the world into context, as you say, in terms of technology. You certainly do. People can find you on X, can't they?
And on Blue Sky, yes.
And it's James Erskine. A pleasure as ever. Thanks for joining me this afternoon.
Thanks, Shay.
And if you'd like to share your thoughts, please do. 0800 731 2000.
Sitting in the morning sun,